This is Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and Uniden.
That's right. NRMA Insurance, a help company helping Australians protect what matters most for almost 100 years. In fact, I'll check the date. I think we're coming up. It might be in May. We're coming up to their anniversary. NRMA is one of the largest insurers of electric vehicles in Australia, and I think we're going to talk again to the CEO in just a few weeks from now. So very, very much looking forward to that. And of course, Uniden dash cam. So if you've got a brand new car or an older car, doesn't matter. Dash cam is going to give you that peace of mind of knowing exactly what's going on.
Protect your investment. Award-winning Uniden dash cams. We recommend front and rear cameras, so both sides are covered.
Look for the Uniden model with the letter R in it. That indicates there's a rear camera as well. Stephen, we've been driving cars again. It's feeling good to be back on the road in electric cars that are not our own. Not just because it saves kilometres on my Cupra, but also because it means we can sample other cars. I think next week we'll talk about the smart #3, the Penelope car.
Yes, that's the one that after 16 test drives, she decided on the smart #3.
You know, we should maybe get Penelope back on to do a joint review.
I agree.
Because I've got some thoughts.
Okay, yeah, well, me too.
Some of them are critical.
We've been driving, you've been driving that for a bit, I've been driving it for a bit, so we can both have a good say on that one.
So we'll kick it off in the next few weeks with the smart #3. We've got the Deepal SO7 and then the MG Cyberster. We've got cars every single week, so we look forward to kind of bringing that part of the show back. We obviously had to take a break over Christmas and stuff, and it just frankly took me a while to pull my finger out and get back into it.
We are back on deck driving a different car every week.
Looking forward to bringing our thoughts with you. And if there's a particular car you're looking forward to hearing about or you want to know more about, let us know. Because
I have had calls, actually. Friends of mine are saying, what are you driving now? I want to see it. Yeah.
We can only drive so many in a year.
That's what I said,
But if it's not on our list, we can at the very least make sure that we reach out to the companies involved and try and get it on our list. And that's what we'll try and do for you. So if you want to...
Feel free to reach out is what Trevor's trying to say.
0477 657 657. No matter what you want to talk about with EVs, if you're critical of the concept and you want to understand it better, if you're in the market for an EV or you've owned an EV for a little while and you want to share your experience, because that's the best thing about this is real EV prospects, hearing from real EV owners and getting a real sense of the market. And
absolutely,
that's a fun thing that we get to do. And we'll do that right now, 0477 657 657. Alex is on the line. G'day, Alex.
Howdy.
Howdy to you. Welcome to the show. Where are you at in the world of EVs? You're an EV owner, I believe.
I am an EV owner. I was an early adopter in terms of when the MG ZS EV came out.
Yep.
And never intended to buy an electric car. I had all my criteria set down. I did loads and loads of research, and I ended up with the Clipper Blue 2020 MG ZS EV because it's such a beautiful car, but it fit my criteria of dimensions primarily, and it happens to be the most beautiful colour. And when I saw it in a supermarket and I asked the owner of the car, who'd had it a whole week, she said it was an electric car, at which point I thought, oh dear, I don't know anything about electric cars. I probably can't have one. And it was only when I rang MG and they said, no, we don't do that in a petrol car, that I asked whether or not I'd be able to manage an electric car. How do you do it? And so I've been a very happy owner of the car for 4 or 5 years now.
Wow.
Say 4
Alex,
years.
if I'm hearing you correctly, you went EV for the sake of a colour. Is that right? The colour
Partly.
caught your eye, and you've decided that's the car for me.
The colour and the dimensions. So I literally saw it and went, you are the right height, width, length to fit in my carport.
Yep.
And the colour really would make it hard for me to part with it.
So you had that conversation with MG, which is awesome, because I'm now curious as to what they said. How did they put you at ease, essentially? You were someone who didn't think you were in the market, probably didn't think you could cope with an EV. So what put you at ease? What made you go, yeah, okay, I could do that?
I said, just before I hung up, I said, look, before I hang up, could you tell me what it involves to own an electric car? And he said, you just plug it in like you plug in your vacuum cleaner. And I went home and thought about it and thought, okay, well, I've got a carport. It's not undercover, but he said it doesn't need to be. And chatted with my husband, who said, really? And And I thought, why not? Because we've got one petrol car. He has a petrol car,
Yeah.
and now I have the EV, so we can manage it for the long trips where it's going to be awkward if you only have an EV, especially the MG ZS EV. So suddenly we thought, okay, we can do this.
So so when you first got the car, you were using the supplied cable into the car,
Trickle charger.
into the wall. So what we call the granny charger, the trickle charger.
Yep, totally.
And that
still do.
That suited
Still
you.
do.
So
I was just going to say, yeah.
You obviously don't do a lot of. You do average amount of driving per day, so it still suits you.
Totally. So I know you guys always say just keep topping it up a little, consistently. I do probably 15 Ks a day. So
No problem.
half an hour driving mostly, which means that normally I just charge it once a week. Sometimes even once a fortnight.
How many Ks have you done so it's been nearly 5 years. How many Ks have you done?
Less than 30,000. No,
Wow.
that's not true. I've just clicked over 30,000.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yep, 30,000.
What have you noticed about the car over that time? You obviously still love it because you're speaking very glowingly of it. Have you noticed anything like, does the range look different in the car today?
Yes. Yes, it does. But look, not a huge amount. So I think when I bought it, I was told the range would be 253 Ks. Which I know is minuscule by today's standards.
Correct,
and
it was very standard
not
back then.
ideal.
Back
It was very
5
standard
years
back
ago,
then.
that
It was
normal.
yeah. And now it's down to probably 235.
That's
You
not
lost
too bad.
20 Ks.
My
You hardly
husband's
lost anything. Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty good. Now I've only done the 30,000, but it's that's pretty decent. I try to remind my husband that according to you guys, we're not meant to charge it to full unless we have to.
Yep.
So I do my best to do that. But that's thanks to your podcast, because no one tells you that otherwise.
It's a really good point. There's no
Yeah,
real
some brands
hand
do.
guide.
Tesla was my first EV, and they were pretty. They made it known that you shouldn't.
It's kind of
charge
in
it
the
to-
software
yeah,
there
you
too,
shouldn't
isn't it?
charge it to 100%.
And with respect, you got
Yeah.
the very first of the MG electric cars,
Yeah.
and you've essentially got a petrol car with
just the
electric
because you've
pieces.
still got that model would still have the little, what do they call the
Transmission
drivetrain,
tunnel.
the transmission tunnel in it, isn't it? So
Well,
you've still got that.
it's based on the 2019 petrol model.
Yes,
Yep.
I've driven that car. That's a nice
It
car.
was a good
That's
car.
A great
I mean,
car. Yeah.
look,
It's a great car.
do you
Yeah.
drive around now? Have you seen the blue you love? Is it the darker blue or that
It's a
lightish
light blue.
blue?
No,
Sky
it's the
blue.
light
Yes,
blue.
Sky
So-
blue.
It's the beautiful sky blue that you see the very expensive Mercedes and the very beautiful cars.
So you don't love the bright blue then, because I was wondering whether you've seen any MG4s
No.
on the road that have that. Stephen's wearing the bright
Yeah.
blue shirt today,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
So, I mean, have you looked at other cars on the road now, knowing what you know about electric cars, and thought, oh, my next car could be another one? Or do you look like you're going to stick with this for a while?
Well, so that's why I wanted to get in touch with you, because I have heard you guys saying the resale value can be rather lacking. But in many ways, my car would be ideal for the person who doesn't do long trips, and there are lots of people in that category. But my mum lives in Point Lonsdale, which from where I live is an hour and a half, and I know that it's unlikely I can get there and back in one day without charging it.
Yeah.
So, which has happened once where I've had to do it, and it was a blisteringly hot day and I couldn't have the air conditioning on. And I just got more and more nervous as I was approaching Melbourne. I think I got down to 40 Ks and did not enjoy that experience.
Oh, so you've hardly done any public charging. So it's all at home, and you haven't done many long trips and would have to publicly charge.
Yeah, well, on the only long trips I really do are to my mum or to my mother-in-law, and then we just plug it in there.
Okay. So
from a cost perspective, fantastic. But the big question is whether or not it's worth me hanging on to it, or if I say, look, if I could get a novated lease on a new one, because of that range anxiety, is it worth me saying, pass it on to someone else to love? And buy myself something where I don't stress.
What do you think you want out of it?
Yeah.
That's for me the biggest challenge with resale value on a car is people's perception of value versus what it's really worth. What would be the number if a dealer, let's talk trade-in, let's keep it really simple. If you saw a really nice Kia or another MG and they said, we'll give you this trade-in number, What do you think would feel acceptable to you on that car?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I just know I know what it's insured for in terms of if something happened to it now, the insurers say it's at 25,000.
Okay. Well,
You wouldn't get that.
What I think, well,
that's what I figured you'd say.
Not on a trade-in, maybe sell it privately, maybe.
You wouldn't get it privately either. Look, I think in reality, if you just have a quick look online at car sales,
do your homework.
The MG ZS, you can get one with 100,000 Ks for about 18 grand. So you've got really low Ks, big advantage,
that might get you a little bit extra.
But in my head, and look, we are not giving you a 20, quote here, but my number is 20. I think your starting point is to say, if I could get 20, it'd be a good result.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the challenging part, and I had to admit this the other week about my cars. Look, I've got the first generation Kia EV9. I've got the first generation Cooper in the country. It's kind of like you having the first generation of the MGs. I don't think they're going to hold their value very well, but you know what? I love them so much I don't care. I'm not going to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So you need to accept that MG has come such a long way since that car, and while you love it, it's not a pinch compared to what they deliver now, and that's going to be a hard thing for people. But a $20,000 or frankly an $18,000 electric car is now going to open up a huge market for people. If you, and Alex, I would say you're the perfect salesperson for this car, the way you've driven it, the way you've charged it, because you're not trying to educate someone on how to charge at home with a wall box. You just say, here, see this? You plug it into your wall. You've just got to find that right person. And then maybe that next car is ready for the picking.
Think about the right buyer here would be someone who doesn't drive a lot, who likes the colour, the beautiful colour, but maybe wants to purchase their first EV, because brand new EVs aren't cheap. So I reckon there'd be a lot of people, and you've got quite low kilometres on your car. I reckon it'd be quite an attractive sale for people there.
So what about the people? Hasn't there been discussion about the batteries dying after 8 years or something?
Well, there's battery health we've spoken about as well. But in your case, you've done such low kilometres, and it sounds like you've charged it responsibly as well. Your battery health, I think, would be still quite high.
The biggest myth or misnomer about batteries in cars, and you see this, on Facebook, bloody conspiracy groups and stuff, is that their batteries need to be replaced every 8 years. That's not true.
No.
The warranty on the battery is probably 8 years on that car.
Yeah.
But that just means that if the battery was to fail in 4 years from now, then you've got a bit of a problem ahead. But there is no evidence anywhere that suggests that EV batteries are stopping working in 8 years or 10 years. In fact, if you think about the hybrid world of batteries, Toyota Priuses have been around for a very, very long time, and there's no evidence of them even having major battery replacements. The only indicator of concern is drop in range, and you already got a great number in that sense. So, look, if someone was to ask me as a private seller, what's going to happen in 3 years when the battery warranty runs out? You say, your battery, same as the engine warranty on a car runs out. The engine warranty runs out, and if the engine fails, you've got a problem. But the likelihood of that is as low as what you would have with an engine, and that's a great argument to make. And the range is the thing that will be affected over time. But that thing's going to be at 200 plus Ks for the next 5 years.
Yeah, you're not going to lose much health at all. So,
but the other thing,
you wouldn't rush out.
Look, I think from your perspective,
yourself,
Stephen just quickly mentioned, I don't think we heard what you said, but have you used any public charging?
She used once.
No, I do from time to time.
Yeah.
So there used to be one that was free, not far from me, and I would use it from time to time because the speed charging is great. Also, Chadstone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more looking down.
No, that was a fast one.
So that was free and it was fast, really?
Yep.
Yeah, that was back in the day. She's an early adopter. This was,
what you consider free and fast might be different.
You really did get the best of it. But I'm thinking about your real question in your mind was, I feel like you think you're going to visit mum more and all those kind of things. I'm looking at PlugShare. There's plenty of little chargers around Port Lonsdale, 50 kilowatt, 60 kilowatt. And, you go visit mum, even if it's only for the day, while you're at lunch, drop the car and get it charged. Or drop the car, do the grocery shopping for mum while you're charging and then go back and deliver it. You know what I mean? I think if you look at what's available for charging down near mum, then you might realise that range anxiety on the way back, It's not going to be there. You only need to add 20% to the car to lose that range anxiety.
And that's like 15, 20 minutes of charging, if that. Yeah.
Okay, I see. That's how much I haven't been looking for recently at fast chargers.
There are a lot of apps, like the app that Trevor mentioned was called Plugshare.
Plugshare.
Very, very worthwhile downloading that. So it'll tell you what charges are around you if you need one. So you can see where they are and if they're occupied or not.
I don't know Port Lonsdale well enough, but places like Kingston Village Square, which seems to be just out of Port Lonsdale, are pleasant. There's one in Queenscliff, which is further off the peninsula, which looks like it's a. Actually, there's two there. There's a couple of them, which are both 50 kilowatts. So if you rock up to a 50 kilowatt charger in your car and you've burnt through 50% of your battery getting down to Port Lonsdale, you just need to put 30% back in, which in that car would probably take 15, 20 minutes. And then get back on your way, because it doesn't matter if you get home with 30% left or 20% left, as long as you get home.
Plug it in.
And it sounds to me like you can get home, but it's the anxiety that's the problem. So just get rid of the anxiety with an extra 15, 20% and you're done.
Yeah.
Yep. Great.
Well,
good tips. Thank you.
I'm super excited that you love that car. Keep in touch with us. Let us know what you end up doing. And because if you end up thinking I'm going to sell it, then we need to talk about what's next.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you both, gentlemen.
Great to hear from you. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Good on you. Look, I think that's the thing. Isn't that fascinating? There's a couple of things there that are just huge for us.
She just went head first into it. And you know what? Bold move to go into an EV and thinking, okay.
We've been doing this podcast for a year and a half.
Yeah.
She's owned a car for 4+ years.
Yeah.
And she learnt things listening to us. Isn't that? Yeah. That's a slight on the industry, frankly.
When she said that they didn't tell her about not charging to 100%, little things like that, you think at delivery you'd be told that, wouldn't you?
But 4.5 years,
she's
lost 20 kilos of range, 20 kilometres of range.
Yeah. 20 kilometres, that's nothing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, she's only got, 30,000 Ks on the car.
Yeah.
And, mate, you know what? That'd be great. If you are selling it, that is not a bad second-hand buy.
But that's the thing. If you were looking for a car, like if my mum does really, really long Ks. If she was only doing around young, that'd be the perfect car for her.
Mate, great first EV for someone. Absolutely.
2 Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Get in touch, 0477 657 657. Did you really use the self-driving style functions in your Tesla when you had it?
I did. I loved having the autopilot and navigate by autopilot. I would love to, and even in my Merc, I often hit it so that it drives itself, lane keeping, and does everything that the Tesla used to do.
It's really just an advanced cruise control, right? In reality, most cars today have it.
It is steering. It is on freeways. I only use it on freeways, so it is doing the job.
But do you really long for a day when your car will drive itself?
Yeah, I would. I at the moment, and as you know, the longer, if you're using that mode, you can't have your hands off the wheel for more than 30 seconds. So let's fast forward. If I could use that mode and not have to put my hands on the wheel, great, because I can be paying attention, but it's not driving itself. That's the reason why you got to have your hands on the wheel, right? But if I could just sit back and let the car do the work, absolutely.
Elon Musk reckons he'll have Tesla's full self-driving operating in a couple of US cities by the middle of this year, right?
How long has it been saying that for?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah. Now, we got the Waymo self-driving cars. They do a very good job. They're very safe. Brilliant. Yeah. Mate, his cars will crash.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I think, look, any autonomous driving discussion, you need everyone involved. All the manufacturers, all the different state governments and all the regulators. It needs to be a unified approach where autonomous driving, I think, would be most successful if the cars are talking to each other. They're not working independently.
100%.
If they can communicate and know what's going on around them, that's autonomous driving. If every brand has their own form of autonomous driving, then that might be a little more dangerous.
Do you think he'll do it this year?
Doubt it.
Yeah.
He's been saying this for 5 years. He's been saying, when I had my Tesla, you could buy full self-driving mode.
I still think there's an ACCC class action on that.
For, I think it's $5,000 back then.
Did you pay it?
No.
Yeah.
Why would I? It's not going to be in my car.
Know, but I think people have.
Yeah.
I would be going to court.
Free money to Elon. Yeah, that's right.
I'd be taking him to court.
Yeah. I had autopilot. I paid for autopilot I get when I got my Tesla, I had the autopilot that included everything in it. So it had the self-parking, and now every Tesla has autopilot, but it doesn't have all those other things, like, where you can move it with your phone.
Summon, yep.
Yeah, so it didn't have all those features. But now autopilot's just vanilla autopilot, and nothing else. So you need to pay for the extended version or whatever it's called, the autopilot. But a lot of people, a lot of critics of autonomous driving, thinking, "Oh, it'll never work. It's too dangerous." But I think done the right way, you got to remember that you're talking about this is a computer. This is like it's smarter than you, got better reflexes than you, can see further than you, can take out that error.
Have you
Which you think about
watched
accidents, a human error.
Have you watched the Mark Rober video?
No.
So Mark Rober is one of the great YouTubers. My kids love him. He does kind of experiments and engineering style stuff.
Yeah.
He used to work at NASA in the Jet Propulsion Lab and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, he's got a Tesla Model 3, and he's got obviously some LiDAR company has come to him and said, look at this car. And he's done a test. He's done a 6-point test with a Tesla and then a LiDAR car. Will it knock this little kid over on the road? So the first test is a kid runs out. Second test is it's pouring rain, and like pouring rain, it's overwhelming rain, like with fire hoses. And there's a couple other ones, and then there's a brick wall, but with a painting of a road.
I saw that, yeah.
And mate, it killed the kid in the heavy torrential rain, and it drove through a brick
Straight
wall.
to the wall. Oh.
Cameras are not a good way to do
so LiDAR
detection.
was a
Mate,
better option.
LiDAR. And it's Elon Musk.
LiDAR, sort of like
Elon
radar.
Musk, the idiot, is on record saying, "Well, LiDAR isn't that be all and end all. Humans don't have lasers coming out of their eyes. Yes, but if we did, I bet you we'd bump into less walls.
Yeah,
like my son stubbed his foot and cut himself open. He probably wouldn't have done that if he had lasers coming out of his eyes with LiDAR.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's an idiot.
And he had
bloke.
LiDAR, then took it out, removed
right.
it. Yeah, we opted for the camera.
He had radar, but LiDAR's the next level. LiDAR's where it's at. LiDAR is how the Waymo cars know what's going on around them, and that's what I trust in. So, mate, I won't drive anything that doesn't have LiDAR if it's full self-driving.
Well, I think we've still got a long way to go yet. So don't get into panic, people. We've still got a lot of work to do.
He won't pull it off this year, that's for sure.
I think. Although, I know we've said this before. Could you safely say though that a child born this year, so 2025, if you're born in 2025, will you ever need to learn how to drive? So you're talking 16 years.
My answer to that is no, you don't. But that's not because of self-driving cars. That's because potentially there'll be self-driving Ubers. And I think the proliferation of ride-sharing, taxis, Ubers, will be such that it's just common. Like when we were kids, you would never think about getting an Uber home from a mate's place. No. You would have to go, Mum, I'm going to have to call you, or I'll ride my bike. Or kids don't think that way now. They just think, so today they're thinking I'll just get an Uber home. Imagine what they're going to be like in 20 years.
Yeah, so potentially
whether it's a robot taxi or otherwise.
So you're saying that the industry would be to a point where in 16 years from today, there is likelihood to be self-driving Ubers, taxis, services.
As well as
so you don't
human
need to
drivers,
learn how to drive.
so you'll never need to learn how to drive.
Yeah, okay. So that's fair then.
That's what I think. Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Let us know what you think. 0477 657 657. More calls after this. What are we, City Slickers? Hey, throwback to the best movies you've never seen a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Worth listening to that one. If you are listening to Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars, and this is the only podcast of ours that you're listening to, we do a few. Two Blokes Talking Tech has been going for 14 years. The best movies you've never seen has been going for 3 or so. As well as Tech Guide, EFTM, there's a bunch. So you can find us in plenty of places on the.
If you want to hear our voices more, you can.
That would be annoying for some people, but I don't know. 0477 657 657. Chris, what do you think, mate? Annoying?
It's all gibberish.
There it is. There it is.
It's all a bit of gibberish, but it's all harmless fun.
What can we do for you, buddy?
Look, on the journey, looking at EV cars, but I think being steered in the direction of hybrid by what is it? The Minister of Finance, War and Finance. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot of questions that I think we need to get that proposal from your previous caller.
Yeah, get the marketing
plan.
Yeah.
Talk us through what you know in terms of what's the biggest What's the biggest reason she doesn't want an EV, do you think?
Oh, the biggest reason, just speaking to her, is the infrastructure, the charge at home. We don't have solar, so she's worried it's gonna our electricity bill is gonna take a whack.
Yeah.
And then traveling. We don't travel a lot outside of Sydney. Sydney regional, but to the Blue Mountains, maybe Gold Coast, sort of once or twice.
Yep.
Thereabouts. So it's just that.
Okay, let's
that fear of where do we charge?
Let's
how
take
long?
them one at a time. So first one I think was infrastructure. So charging, we're finding now more chargers that are appearing in more places where they're needed. So on highways and public areas.
And if you were doing a proposal
centres,
for the Minister for War and Finance,
Yeah.
mate, plugshare.com.au is a great. It's actually a really rubbish website. It's a rubbish app. It's not modern in terms of UI,
but
but
the
it
information
has
is
everything,
great.
right? You could easily bring that up and look at a map of just pick a route from one place to another, place you regularly drive, mother-in-laws, whatever it might be, and show how many charges there are on the way.
Yeah,
and
there are a
then
lot.
I think the biggest thing, and we hear this a bit even with our previous caller, we're talking about, you got to say, you don't need to be there for 45 minutes. It might be 15, 20 minutes that you're there just to get you that extra 20 or 30% that gives you the peace of mind that you can get either where you're going or back to where you come from.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of the equation, I think.
And the whole thing with, you mentioned too, you don't have solar panels. You don't have to have solar panels to charge a car. Yes, you plug the car in the wall. It's a slower charge, but there are plenty of electricity companies that offer EV deals. So where I think it's $1 a day, you can charge your car between midnight and 6 a.m. Is that right?
Yeah,
So,
and even if you don't have that, let's do the simple numbers, and you'll find a few comparisons like this online. The broad numbers are it might cost you between $5 and $7 per 100 kilometres to charge your car. The cost of that in a petrol car is more like 12 to 16. So it's half the price. Let's just call it half. But I tell you right now, it's more like a third. But just call it half, and then you know that anything you do around that works. So if you have off-peak pricing for your electricity overnight, for example, midnight till 6 a.m., you can actually tell the car only to charge during those hours, and therefore you're paying even less than that.
It costs around, there are some companies with $1 a day charging, so it'll be $31 a month. You can charge your car as much as you want between midnight and 6 a.m. So
those companies are often linked to specific cars, so be careful about making that argument before you know what car you're getting.
But the whole number of charges, you'll find there are more than you think. And it costing you more. Well, have you seen the price of petrol lately?
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be saving money
that
if you're with an EV. Petrol costs it's like $2 a litre.
I go worst case scenario at all times here, and I go, right, what's our peak electricity cost, right? And then what's the cost then of charging that car? And there's calculators online that'll do that. And I think you'll find it's still half the price of filling a petrol vehicle, and that's the biggest deal at home. Yes, so you need to go, yes, babe, our electricity bill every quarter is going to go up, 100%. Yeah. But we're never going to have a petrol bill again. So can we work out, first and foremost, you should do the backwards numbers. What did you pay last year for petrol? Now, you might not have those numbers, and I'll give you a quick tip. If you've got a car that's older than 3 years, you've had to do the rego every 3 years and get a pink slip check. If you go to the rego website, if you're in New South Wales, which I think you are, find out what your odometer reading was 12 months ago and what it is now, and then just do a raw number and go, my average consumption is X, and you can look at that on the dashboard, and just do a raw calculation of the cost of petrol versus that average consumption over those kilometres. That's the cost of petrol last year.
Yeah. Plus, also, you've got to take into consideration, once you're talking savings, EVs generally cost of maintenance and after-sales service is generally lower. There's a lot less moving parts in an EV, so you don't have to have grease and oil changes. No. You're getting there's a lot less to do with your services in the future as well.
And I would ring big brands, like I would ring a Kia and a Hyundai and a whoever else you're thinking about, and just say to them very clearly, what's the service interval and what are the costs? So I know, for example, Kia has set price servicing for years. Yeah. And with my Cupra, there was I think I paid $2,500 for the 5-year service plan. So it's paid for. I know that's what it is. It's done. Is that less than a petrol car? Actually, don't know. Didn't compare it because I was just glad to have a fixed cost. So these are numbers that you can do in your PowerPoint presentation over dinner.
So have we answered your questions? What else did you ask us there, mate?
Sort of. That was something, actually, probably something that I sort of had brought up somewhere previous time was servicing, the whole part about servicing. Like, I've got a local mechanic. We've got 3 generations of cars going through him, my parents, mine, my son.
Yep.
I'm sure that, while he knows how an EV runs, I'm sure he's not going to be able to, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but chances are he's not going to know how to service or what needs to be done.
There are things in common.
What are people servicing? Yeah,
well, the things you got to service, well, obviously your brakes, your brake pads, your brakes. All
the things that he can do.
Your windscreen fluid is the same. Tyres, general wear and tear.
There are some lubricants involved, but here's the thing. Remember, your warranty is not voided by not servicing your car at a dealership. Okay, and under Australian consumer law, you are 100% covered as long as you're not doing something negative to the car. So what you can do is you can say, for example, you narrow down what car you're going to get or keen on. You could join some Facebook groups and ask people for a copy of the service schedule. And then you could take that to your mechanic and say, which of these things do you think you can do? So, look, I'm never buying tyres from the dealership. It's just not going to happen. I bought mine directly from Bridgestone. I'm not going to get my brakes done on a car maybe at the dealership. Now, I obviously have prepaid the plan, but your local mechanic, and my proof of this is in the Cooper. Remember, I had the front parking sensor was broken, stone chip or something.
Yeah.
I didn't want to pay the $2,600 that the dealership quoted me. I took it to my local guy, just like yours, and said, mate, can you have a look? He looked under the car. He pulled the part number out. He ordered the part. He replaced the part. Yeah. No problems at all.
At a third
$300 or something. It's ridiculous.
But also, Chris, the overall thing you need to look at is your driving habit. How far do you drive? Is it worthwhile you getting, like you mentioned, your wife was sort of steering you towards a hybrid. What is it because you go on long trips? Did you like going camping? Do you haul a caravan?
Yeah, good question.
What sort of behaviour, or you were just a normal day-to-day driver?
Yeah, it's just a normal day-to-day with a couple of long trips a year.
Yep,
mate.
But that would be about it.
From what we've discussed, the long trips you can handle. There's charges along the way. And your day-to-day driving, even if you charge your car to 80%, and it sounds like that would last you a week.
So
that sort of charge.
The final summary here is for the PowerPoint presentation, we're going to get a map from PlugShare, and we're going to do 3 regular trips. You do those
plugs.
Long trips.
Yep.
You're going to do a real nice mathematical calculation on your current petrol usage and what you project the electricity usage to be. And then finally, the final slide is, my dear, when was the last time your phone battery went dead? And she'll say, never. And you'll say, why? You'll say, because you plug it in every night. That's what you do with your EV. You simply plug it in every night, and it's always ready to go the next day.
Yeah. So we hope that helps, Chris. We hope that helps.
I think you've got it covered, mate.
We can't wait. I want to hear back from you.
Yeah,
mate.
I just got to get in some cars now and get behind the wheel or something.
And you know what? Involve your wife.
Get her behind the wheel,
because I'll tell you now. Once she gets behind the wheel of one, and she'll go, she'll say to you, "Hey, this isn't so bad."
What are you driving now, Chris?
We're going between a couple of Nissan Dualis, Honda City. And Mitsubishi ASX.
Mate, take it to a Kia dealer. Just let's pick one. Take it to a Kia dealer. Jump into an EV5.
Yep.
She will think it's the most beautiful, luxurious, advanced car, and then say, "Well, you drive now," and she'll be like, "Oh, this is beautiful."
Yeah.
Mate, I think you'll be back in weeks.
I think the car will do the work for you.
Yes.
The car will sell it.
Yep.
PowerPoint not required, Chris. What are you talking about? Good luck, mate, and let us know how you go.
Yes.
All right.
Good on you, Chris.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, buddy. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all you got to do is the sales pitch.
That's it.
The PowerPoint presentation.
I reckon people who just heard that call, show that to you, play that for your partner if you need convincing. What you need to consider.
We should make available online a pitch deck.
The pitch deck. That's right. So you should take note of all those little. And you know what? It's his wife, but it's common fears and anxieties about making the switch to an EV.
Yeah.
It's not just exclusive to Chris and his
100%.
family. Everyone's thinking the same way.
Let us know what you think and get in touch anytime. 0477 657 657. That was interesting.
It's a bit violent.
It was a bit violent. I was taking a little bit out on you.
Wow.
The last one wasn't a machete.
Long day.
It has been a long day. Well, you're absolutely right. Anyway, love to hear from you folks on the Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. We'd love to hear from anyone who's in the market, anyone who's bought an EV. It's always fun to hear from real people about real questions about. And what a show. We've had someone who's owned an MG for 5 years, coming on 5 years, who, frankly, I think has learnt a lot just in the last half an hour. We've just spoken to someone who's playing around in the market and might be in the market
needs
for
to
one.
convince the missus.
Bit of work to do.
The what is it, Minister for War and
Do you
Finance?
think we'll win that? I think we'll win that.
I reckon we'll get him over the line.
Yeah,
get her over the line.
Our next call is going to be what car? That's what I reckon. Or he's just going to ring and say, mate, we bought the whatever.
Yeah, we got another petrol car.
Anyway, and Adam's on the line now. G'day, Adam.
G'day, boys. How you going?
Yeah, really good. We've spoken to you before. You've got a Model 3 Performance, if I recall correctly.
Yes, correct.
What have you done with it? Because I think the message you sent, which I'm very keen to talk about, but I'm also curious about, is cold climate driving, because we're not in winter yet. So what's your experience with cold climate driving? The big misnomer or the big myth here is people don't realise, it's not a myth, it's just a lack of information. People don't realise cold climate equals less range. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I mean, down in Jindabyne, I did the snow season last year with it. I've got it's a late 22, so it's got the cold, I think it's called cold climate. It's got a heat pump and stuff in it. Yep. Look, to be honest, I noticed a little bit when winter first started, but it sort of pretty much died off towards the end, so much so that I sort of didn't really notice it.
Right.
It's parked in the garage, but I did drive up the snow most days and sort of in the snow, and obviously having the four-wheel drive and stuff's pretty good. But I didn't really notice too much. Where I did notice it is if I parked it for a while, like if I left it parked for, say, 2 or 3 days, I'd notice that I'd come back and I'd sort of see, 1 or 2% had gone, even though I hadn't driven it, where I don't see that sort of normally.
That's not uncommon, though. Like, I remember my Tesla, I used to, whenever I'd travel for work, I'd be away for a week or two, and it'd lose like about 5 or 6% just sitting in the driveway. That's not uncommon.
100%.
So to be clear, you didn't notice, because I remember, and this is going back now to the infamous 2018 drive to Bathurst where we ran out in the Hyundai Ioniq. But back then when I did the research, companies like Renault and stuff would actually have on the website that winter climates could result in 25% less range. So you're saying there was no discernible, obvious range decrease in your cold climate driving?
No, and I do 70 k's one way to work, downhill all the way to work, and then sort of uphill on the way back. So obviously you get a bit better, and it's a windy sort of straight bit of roads. I'm averaging probably 16.5 to 17 kilowatt per hour thing, and I sort of noticed maybe it went up to sort of 17 every now and then on average, but generally speaking, like I've done nearly 90,000 k's on there now, and it's averaging about 16.7 over sort of freeway drives, driving to Melbourne, and all that sort of stuff. The biggest thing I noticed when I changed from those the standard tyres that came with it to the Michelin Pilot Sport, the really sort of competition sort of style, great tyre, like a much better grip, but I noticed that I'd get to work and back on 80%. Now I was sort of up to 90%.
Wow! So the tyres improved.
Hang on, so you got more efficiency from the Sport or less?
No, less, definitely less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went for a non-EV tyre. I won't make that mistake again because I know we're only talking 10%, but like that could be the difference between charging every second day compared to every third day.
Well, I just replaced the tyres on the Cooper because frankly I think it was delivered to me without a proper wheel balance and the edges of the tyres looked horrible. So I just went, you know what, it's early, but I'm doing it and I'll get them wheel balance and everything. And I noticed when I went to Bridgestone, when I typed in the model and everything, there was just one tyre available. That was it.
Really? For that
It was
car?
just one tyre.
Yeah,
And that was there was the car that was originally fitted, the tyre that was originally fitted. And the guy said to me, look, I said, I want it to not wear like that again. And I don't think I'm driving like an idiot. I mean, it looks like I've been, going like but I'm not.
Yeah.
And he said, look, the wheel balance wasn't great and you got to rotate the tyres. I went, well, someone's got to tell me that. Like, you got to do that at the dealer.
Course.
That's what the dealer should have
So
done that.
you're saying you got the car like that?
No, I reckon I got the car and the wheel alignment was out, and that's what caused them to go
Really?
so quickly in just 20,000 Ks. Yeah.
Okay.
So efficiency. So tyre. That's a really good one, and we might talk to someone from Bridgestone or somewhere.
I went a bit
tyres.
wider too, so I went sort of like an offset, like a 245 on the front and a 265 on the back. So it's sort of, but I mean, like I said, it definitely makes it look better and handle better. But I definitely noticed there was a bit of a trade off there where I sort of had to put an extra 5% in it to get those 2 days to and from work. So
Even though it's good handling, you'll go back to the EV tyre.
Look, I mean, if I got it through salary sacrifice because it's, knocks off 15 grand a year off my tax, which is obviously pretty good.
That's helpful,
Look, the wear's been good on them. I've done sort of 25,000 on these tyres here, and the wear's been really good, and obviously they're grippy. But you just got to obviously, 5% at the end of the day is not a huge amount, but it's that's what I noticed more than the cold climate, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Interesting. So still loving the car though.
Haven't had a service. 86,500 Ks. Never done anything to it.
And we just had a caller.
Standard brakes.
We just had a caller talking about the cost of cars, and we didn't really go into the fact that with Tesla, they're the only brand that's willing to say, "We'll call you when you need to come in." Basically,
I wanted to do it just so I can see what it's like. But I got a mate that lives in Vail in Colorado, and he's got 190,000 miles on his Model 3.
Wow.
And he's had one service. So pretty crazy. And I mean, he gets affected a little bit more by the cold because obviously it's a fair bit colder there. But it's pretty crazy to think that you can nearly do 100,000. I mean, our work cars here we get them done every 10,000.
Yeah,
so
that's true. It's true.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, sounds like you're happy with the car, mate. It's serving you well.
Yes, it serves its purpose. Other than the fan and braking, which drives me on the wall, but other than that, our work cars do it too. So when I'm not alone,
you're not alone there.
Yeah, that's happened. That happened to me on the Model S. This happened with my Merc too.
When we start talking about these new cars we're driving, the ADAS, the driver assistance stuff, is the biggest bugbear I have with modern cars. It's just sad how much it affects the user experience. And
I think you turn it off. It's supposed to be a safety feature, and you turn it off.
First thing
everyone's turn it off.
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Good on you, mate. Thanks. Good to hear from you again, buddy.
All right. Good on you, boys. Yeah. Take care, eh?
Thank you. Thanks for getting in touch, mate. Legendary. So that's interesting. And I think when I did that research, it was Renault. I'm sure I read their website, 24%. You've got to remember, maybe all that website stuff is all based around Europe as well. And as he says, he's made in Colorado.
Colder,
that's a lot colder,
way
right?
Colder.
The climate difference in Australia from summer to winter is extreme for us, but actually for a car, it's probably not as bad. Plus, modern cars have battery management systems that do heating and preparation, battery charge preparations. That might have a difference as well.
Tesla's led the way there. But you got to remember, unless you're living in a climate that goes to minus temperatures, I don't think it's going to be too big a deal.
Well, I think it also it's the battery technology because that Hyundai Ioniq was clearly affected.
Of course.
So that's 7-year-old technology. So I think modern technology makes a big difference as well. Anyway, love to hear from you if you have a view on that. 0477 657 657. We'll be back again next week with another episode of Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars. Thanks to NRMA Insurance and UDN Dash Cams. Support the companies that support us. We can make this show free. Otherwise, we'll have to start charging you. And that's not going to happen because we just don't have the mechanism to do that or the staff to support it because it's just us.
Yeah, it's just
there's no one behind the cameras. It's just us.
No other production staff.
Can someone make it? Oh, it's going to be us that makes the note.
We're talking to ourselves.
Yeah. It's just no one helping.
Yeah, but we've got good support from Uniden and NRMA.
He said it better than I could have. See you, Stephen.
See you, buddy.
Sorry if you had a fit watching that.